Alright, welcome to Historic Pauper Meta Review of Dominaria United. Um, the full spoilers came out. Let's take a look. So, Argivian Cavalier, 3 mana, 2/2, and list comes with a 1/1. Um, I like Enlist. I'm not sure how strong Enlist will be in Constructed. Um, this looks like a reasonable card, though. You have a 3 mana 2/2 that can attack with maybe 4 power, maybe 5 power. Yeah, looks reasonable. I I can't think of a deck that can play this at the moment. I mean, it could slot into like a core Skyfisher build as a 3 mana make a 1/1 that you can repeat, but that seems a little bit weak. All right, let's take a look. Argivian Phalanx costs 1 less to cast. Okay, so I mean, this looks alright. You get like a 2 mana, 3 mana, 4/4 vigilance. Pretty medium. Artillery Blast, 2 mana, domain, deals X damage to target tapped creature. Okay. You're probably playing this in, what is it? 4 color, 5 color Skyfisher. Um, yeah, it's reasonable white removal, I guess. I mean, white removal isn't always the best, but it looks decent. Benelish Faithbonder, 2 mana, 1/3 vigilance and list. Okay, I like vigilance. I don't think vigilance works with enlist, right? Yeah, you may tap a non-attacking creature. So you can't attack with like 2 vigilance creatures and tap them to each other. Um, I like it's a 2 mana 1/3, which is a decent stat line in Historic Pauper. The vigilance in the list makes it a little bit better because you can turn it into like a 3/3. So yeah, I like this card. I don't think there's like a white aggro deck that's reasonable at the moment though. Benelish Sleeper, 2 mana 3/1 kicker black. When it enters the field, if it was kicked. Oh, all right. So this is a like one of those 3 mana black creatures that make you sacrifice a creature. Okay, that's pretty cool. It's probably going to be medium. Captain's Call, 4 mana, create 3/1/1 white soldier to creature tokens. Okay, this is pretty cool. It's not quite the goblin one where it's like 2 in a red, something make 3 goblins, or like I think there's a Unleash the Hounds that makes 4 mana, makes 4/1/1s. But this is a sorcery that makes some creatures. It could get there maybe in a blue-white curve deck. Charismatic Vanguard, 3 mana, 3/2, 5 mana to pump your creatures +1/+1. Yeah, I like this card. Most of the creatures before that had this 5 mana pump your creatures were all 1-drops with like 1/2 bodies. This looks pretty good for because it's on a 3-drop, but we'll see how many. This is probably like a one of in a go wide deck. Citizen's Arrest. When Citizen's Arrest enters, okay, so it's just a 3 mana enchantment removal. It's all right. Clockwork Drawbridge. Defender 03, tap target creature. Okay, interesting. So this is another white 1-drop that can tap a target creature. The cost is a little bit high, but this is an artifact defender that could be relevant in some kind of affinity deck. Sorry for this thunderstorm. I hope you guys can't hear that. All right, destroy evil. 2 mana, destroy target creature, destroy target enchantment. Okay, this is pretty good. I think this is a reasonable sideboard card. Notably, in Historic Pauper, with the bridges that came out from the artifact bridges from Modern Horizons 2, Affinity has gone in a lot better. So this hits Mirror Enforcer. It'd probably see some play. Griffin Protector, 4 mana, 2/3 flying with some kind of upside. Yeah. All right. So 4 mana, 2/3 flying. You never see these in constructed. 4 mana heroic charge. 4 mana, 2 mana kicker. Okay, this is cool. So this is the like charge spell with the kicker. The problem is the go wide decks don't really get up to 6 mana. So I can't see this being very good. Juniper Order Root Weaver. 2 mana, 2/2 kicker. If it's kick, put a +1/+1 counter. Okay. Yeah, so there is a green-white counters deck. I mean, it's there. I'm not sure if it's good. So this could probably slot in there pretty well. Let's take a look here. These are all uncommons. Here's a common. Mesa Cavalier, 3 mana, 2/1 flying. Oh, okay. So this is a worse Inspiring Overseer. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Samite Herbalist, 2 mana, 2/1. Oh, okay. So I like this card. I think it'll probably fit into an Abzan life gain, Abzan Cleric deck, where you tap it with Jaspera Sentinel. So the reason for that is the Scry is really relevant in that deck, because you really want to hit your Winding Ways. You really want to draw more creatures. You can probably fit 1 or 2. The problem with that deck is that the deck slots are very tight, but you can probably fit 1 or 2 of this card in there. Stall for Time, 3 mana, kicker, tap 2 creatures, put a stun counter. Interesting. 5 mana. It is an instant and it does draw a card, so that's good, I guess. It's hard to play these sort of stun spells without a creature on the board. So I don't know if this card will see play, you know. There's already a blue 2/2 flying that stuns a creature. And I think that's probably the best version of this kind of effect because because of the creature body just adds a clock. And without the clock on this card, you know, it's hard to imagine this will be a card you want in constructed. Take up the shield, 2 mana. Okay, 2 mana combat trick, gains lifelink, indestructible, and a +1/+1 counter. Alright, so this is probably the best 2 mana white combat trick, but I don't know about playing. I mean, you can't really play that many 2 mana combat tricks, so we'll see. Yeah, I mean, if your deck is looking for a combat trick, this is probably the best one. Alright, looks like that's all for white. Let's take a look at blue. Academy Wall, 3 mana defender. You may loot if you play. Oh wow, triggers once per turn. Wow, this looks pretty good actually. 3 mana 05. So that means you basically trade with Obnixilis Cruelty. Yeah, it survives all the 1 mana, 2 mana removals. I'm pretty sure, except for random ones like Destroy Target Defender. And you get to basically Ledger Shredder through your deck. Yeah, this looks a pretty reasonable card. Let's take a look. All uncommons. Essence Scatter. Okay, that's a reprint. It's decent. Historic Pauper is more creature focused than Vintage Pauper, but you know, not being able to counter non-creature spells makes it probably a sideboard card. Okay, here's a cool one. Haunting Figment. 1 in a blue, 2/1 vigilance. Haunting Figment can't be blocked as long as you cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn. So, this is almost like a brand new card. You know, vigilance in blue and then can't be blocked in blue. Is a thing, but there's not really been a constructed deck to take advantage of that. Yeah, I could see it in a deck, but I don't think it's there at the moment. Impede momentum, 2 mana, tap target creature and put 3 stun counters on it. Scry 1. Wow, that's pretty good. This is like what is it? That white enchantment that like something's like heroic thing where he's holding up a rock. You just put a creature out of the battlefield for 3 turns. Yeah, this is reasonable. I think the problem with this card is that in Historic Pauper, you either have a creature on the field for its body and its ETB, or for an ongoing effect. There's not really many creatures that you have to tap to get some kind of effect. I think the only one is like the red 0/3 wizard that pings your opponent and untaps when you cast an instant or sorcery spell. I can't remember the name right now. So this card basically does nothing against that one. I mean, the 1/1 goblins that tap to give something haste sees play sometimes, but yeah, I don't think this card will make it. Impulse, 2 mana. Look at the top 4 cards. Yeah, Impulse. I think this is decent. There's not really. I mean, there are combo decks, but the combo decks in Historic Pauper don't really run blue. So yeah, I could definitely see play. 2 mana cantrip with card selection is always reasonable. Negate, counter target non-creature spell. So same thing with Essence Scatter. This is probably a sideboard card. Phyrexian Espionage, 3 mana, kicker, draw 2 cards. If this was kicked, each opponent discards a card. So 5 mana for 3 card advantage. Yeah, it's pretty mediocre. I don't think this will see play. Pixie Illusionist, 1 mana, 1/1 flying with kicker. If it was kicked, enters the battlefield with 2. Target land you control becomes basic land type of your choice. Okay, so this is probably the best example of something that's decent, but isn't actually good and constructed. So this fixes your mana. It's a 1/1 flyer for 1. That also comes back as a 3/3 flyer for 5. All of that sounds reasonable, but none of it is good. So I don't think this will see constructed play. Shore Up, target creature you control gets +1/+1, gains hexproof. Okay, untap. Okay, so this is a better dive down. I like this a lot. Whoops. Sorry about that. Shore Up. So this is a better dive down. This is probably the 1 mana trick of choice in blue for hexproof. Soaring Drake, 3 mana, 2/3 flying. Okay. I mean, this is fine, but it's probably never getting into a constructed deck because core Skyfisher is just that much better. Talus Lookout, 4 mana, 3/2 flying. When it dies, look at the top 2, put 1. Okay, so this card looks pretty good. I don't think it's good enough for constructed because a 4 mana, 3/2 flying. It does draw you a card when it dies, but it's just too much mana to spend for it. Tidepool Turtle, 2/5/4, scry 1. Okay, this is pretty medium. Timely Interference, 1 mana kicker, target creature gets -1. Oh, okay. So this is like a combat trick that can also function as a removal. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty weird. I don't think red blue wants creatures that can block their creatures because red blue is usually playing like flyers or they're playing some kind of Kiln Fiend, and having blockers, your opponent blocking your creature, both doesn't sound great for both of those examples. Tolarian Geyser, 3 mana, kicker 1, Return target creature, draw a card. If this spell is kicked, you gain 3 life. Okay, so 4 mana, return target creature, draw a card is a thing. It's usually at instant speed though, so since this is a sorcery, I don't like it. I don't like it. The 3 life is okay, yeah, whatever. I wish this was an instant. If this was an instant, it would be much better. Alright, Tolarian Terror. 7 mana, costs 1 less for each instant and sorcery card. Ward 2, 5/5. This is probably the best blue card. It might be the best common in the set. This is going straight into Serpentine Curve decks as 5 mana, 1 mana, 5/5 Ward 2. You know, Gurmag Angler, eat your heart out. Voda Sea Scavenger, 3 mana, 3/2. When enters, look at the top. Put one of those cards on top of your library. Okay, so this is like a weird domain scry. Yeah, pretty medium. I don't think this is good at all. Bolshi Tide Turner, 2 mana, 1/3. Okay, so this is a functional reprint basically. These cards, the blue ramps are really awkward. I don't think this card will see play. Alright, let's take a look at black. Aggressive Sabotage. 3 mana, 1 kicker. Target player discards 2 cards if this deals 3 damage. Okay. Mind Rots are okay in Historic Pauper, but I don't think they're good. The kicker, there is a red-black burn deck, red-black aggro madness deck. I don't think this fits in that deck. Battle Rage Blessing, 2 mana, gains Death Touch and Indestructible. I don't think black has the room to play 2 mana combat tricks, especially since they have 1 mana combat tricks that does basically the same thing. Battlefly Swarm, 1 mana, 1/1 flying, gains Death Touch. Okay. Yeah, it's a 1 mana, 1/1 flying. That's usually not good enough, except in blue where they have ninjas. There is black ninjas from the what is it? Neon Dynasty Kamigawa. I don't think this will make it though. Bone Splinters, this is a reprint. It's a alright spell. Let's take a look here. These are all uncommons. Rares, blah blah blah. Eerie Soul Tender, 3 mana, 3/1, mill 3, 5 mana, exile, return from your graveyard to your hand. Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah, I think this is too much for this kind of effect. Like, if this was 2 mana, 1 mana, 1/1, 1/2, 2/2 even, 2 mana, 2/2, mill 3, this would be much better. But as a 3 mana, 3/1, I don't think this card is good enough. Extinguish the Light. 4 mana, murder. You sometimes gain life. Yeah, this is a draft card. It's not going to make constructed play. Gibbering Barricade, 3 mana, Defender, 2/4. Ooh, interesting. 3 mana, sacrifice a creature, you gain 1 life, draw a card. So this, like, 2/4 body with sacrifice a creature, you gain 1 life and draw a card. I think that's been printed before, but they've been printed at 4 mana. So this looks like a new card where it's at 3 mana, but the problem is the cost of sacrificing a creature is 3 mana. That's a little bit too high. Previously, I think they were at 1 mana, sacrifice a creature, tap for the cost. So this looks like it could maybe get somewhere, but I don't think this is the kind of aristocrat payoff that you want. Okay, let's take a look. Uncommons. Liliana of the Veil, crowd favorite. Phyrexian Rager. Okay, so this was already in Historic Pauper due to Jumpstart. 3 mana, 2/2, draws you a card. I mean, it's always reasonable. It's always pretty good. But this Phyrexian Rager has lost a lot of ground due to Cyril's Packmate. Phyrexian Vivisector, 2 mana, 2/2. Whenever a creature you control dies, scry 1. Okay, so this is more like it. This is probably the Aristocrat deck. Not payoff, but sort of synergy card that you want. Just having the scry 1 control over the top of your library, that's probably pretty good. You can probably fit in 1 or 2 into your Aristocrat deck. Phyrexian Warhorse, 4 mana, 1 kicker. Enters battlefield, create a 1/1. Okay, so this is like Thallid Omnivore from Dominaria, or from the first Dominaria on Historic Pauper on Arena. Yeah, I mean it's reasonable. I think this is probably one of the better sacrifice outlets, along with Thallid Omnivore. So yeah, I expect this will see play. Let's see. Uncommons, rares. Shadow Prophecy, 2 mana, 3 mana, instant. Domain, look at the top X cards. 2 of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Okay. So this is basically, I think, like, there's a blue card, 4 mana, look at the top 4 cards, take 2. 3 mana is nice, instant is nice. Draw 2 with, the problem is Domain is really awkward, but I mean, this could see play in a Domain deck. Some kind of like 4-color Skyfisher deck, for example. But, you know, it's probably pretty medium in that kind of deck too. Like, that 4-color Skyfisher already has a ton of card advantage. You don't really need to be playing these divination cards. Splatter Goblin, 2 mana, 2/1. When it dies, target creature and opponent controls gets -1. Okay, this is reasonable. I wish this there's already a card with an ETB that has the same effect. So I mean, I could see it being played in an Aristocrat deck, but I don't think this is that great. Tattered Apparition, 4 mana, flying, 2/2. And it can pump itself. Okay. Yeah, this is probably not quite good enough. This is very close to being there. The problem is that, you know, in a constructed format, your removal is always pretty efficient compared to your creatures, and being a 2/2 means it dies to the 1 mana -2 -1 -2 in black. I mean, every single 1 mana removal spell kills this. Well, I do like the pump effect, but I don't think this is there. I mean, alright, I'm thinking about it more. It does block, like, Muldrifter, it blocks Skyfisher, but, you know, it still seems a little bit weak. Toxic Abomination, 2 mana, 3/2. ETBs, you lose 2 life. Okay, so it looks like black has been getting a lot of these 2 mana 3/2s. There's one in Streets of New Capenna that comes in tapped. Yeah, I mean, they're pushing some kind of black aggro. I like the 3 power. I like 2 mana. This could be a card. Tribute to Urborg, 2 mana, kicker 2. Target creature gets -2. That creature gets an additional -1 for each instant. Oh, okay. So this is pretty good, I think, right? Yeah, I think this is pretty good. This is reasonable. Especially, so in Dimir control decks, you're going to have a lot of instant and sorcery cards, or even Sultai, or Esper. Blue-black, X, right? Having the 2 mana removal is nice, but then, you know, the game gets later, you can kick this for a pretty big additional removal. Urborg Repossession, 1 mana, sorcery, kicker, green, you gain 2 life, return another target permanent card. Okay, this is alright. It's not quite Omen of the Dead, but, you know, I could see it being played. I don't think there's really any, like, permanent cards from your graveyard that you really want that's in green-black. I mean, you could play a Jund Affinity sort of thing, bring back, like, the 2-mana artifact that draws you a card. I forget what its name is. But I mean, even then, that's pretty medium. You usually don't need that kind of card advantage on a sorcery card. Writhing Necromass, 7 mana, costs 1 less for each creature card in your graveyard, Death Touch. Okay, so this is decent. I think this is probably the third best out of the cycle. For the record, I think blue is the best, Tolarian Terror, and then the red card that's coming up. This one's probably third best, and then the green and the white ones are pretty awful. 5/5 Death Touch for 1 mana is quite nice. The problem is filling your graveyard with creature cards is not easy. Not easy. But definitely a reasonable card. Maybe as like a 1 or 2 of. Alright, let's take a look at red here. Coalition Warbrute, 4 mana, Enlist Trample, 3/4. Okay, so I like this one a lot. This is the best Enlist one so far. And the reason is that the 4 toughness makes it quite good, and the trample just makes your Enlist so much better. Flowstone Infusion. Okay, 1 mana, +2, -2 until end of... Okay, so yeah, this is the kind of like 1 mana removal that makes that 4 mana 2/2 flying not the best. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. +2, -2, yeah, it's an effect from black, I think, that's been color shifted. Flowstone Kavu, 3 mana, 2/3 menace. Okay, interesting. So this was what, 4/1 at most? Yeah, I like this card. I don't think it's good enough for constructed. This is probably a decent draft card. Furious Bellow, 2 mana. Target creature gets +3 against first strike and scry 1. Okay. So this is a slight power creep. I think there's already 2 mana +3 +0 first strike printed. Yeah, I mean, I don't think this card sees that much play even with the scry 1. It's just usually not good enough. G2 Amplifier, 2 mana, kicker 5. Enters the battlefield, return target creature and opponent controls whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell. Oh, okay. So this is like a Kiln Fiend effect. Yeah, this looks alright. This looks alright. 1, 2. Yeah, I could see this being in a Kiln Fiend deck that goes slightly bigger with Izzet. That basically splashes blue instead of being just mono red. I think it's a little bit weak though. I think it's a little bit weak. Goblin Picker, 2 mana, 2/2. Okay, it's a looter effect. Yeah, this is pretty medium. There's not really any like discard for value decks. There's a couple reanimator decks, but they're not in red. Hammerhand, 1 mana, enchant creature, target creature can't block this turn, enchant +1/+1 in haste. Okay, so this is pretty good. It's probably reasonable in some kind of red blitz deck. The problem is this is an enchantment and not a sorcery or instant, so it probably won't see play. But I mean, it looks reasonable. Maybe some kind of modified deck, I don't know. If they go back to that mechanic, right? Enthrall to the Pit, 4 mana, with kicker 7, untap that creature, steal. Okay, so yeah, I don't think this card is constructed playable. It costs way too much. 4 mana to steal a creature is very mediocre, and then 7 mana total to sacrifice it too so it's basically like a 7 mana removal spell. That's really mediocre. Jaya's Fire Natal. Okay, 5 mana, deal 5 damage, scry 1. Okay, so this is mediocre draft removal. Keldon Strike Team, 3 mana, 3/1, 2 kicker. Create 2 soldiers. Enter the creatures you control have haste. Ooh, okay. This is a pretty nice go wide card. Red, white, go wide. I like the haste. I like the haste. I think the bodies are just a little bit too weak for constructed though. Lightning Strike. Okay, so this is a reprint, but this time it's a common, or so it's a downshift, I should say. Yeah, that's quite good. Lightning Strike is uh, always a decent card. Marius Outrider, 5 mana, 4/4 reach, domain, deals damage. Okay, so I can't imagine a 5 mana 4/4 reach is great. It does deal damage to your opponent, but like I just can't see this being played. Yeah. It's just too much mana for this kind of effect. And like the body usually doesn't matter. Molten Monstrosity, 8 mana. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. 5/5 trample. Alright, so I love this card. I think it's good. And the reason for that is that it just 7 mana perfectly aligns with casting 2 instants and sorceries with Kiln Fiend, which means you cast 2 of the red cantrips and then you cast this on turn 3. Yeah, it basically lets Kiln Fiend have a little bit bigger game plan. You know, they don't have to be like sort of all in on the blitz aspect of Kiln Fiend. I like this a lot. And then we might be able to see this played in Gruul as well with the Goblin. Smash to Dust, 2 mana, sorcery, destroy target artifact, destroy creature with Defender. Smash to Dust deals 1 damage. Okay, looks like a decent sideboard card. Hits a lot of things. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Thrill of Possibility. Okay, this is a reprint. It's decent. I don't think this card sees that much play. Baishino Branch Rider, 1 mana, 1/1, kicker 4, haste. Baishino gets +2/+. Okay, so this is a 4 mana 3/3 haste. That's pretty weak. That's pretty weak. It does get like a pump effect, but it's not great. Steel Crusher, 2 mana, 2/2, enlist, destroy target artifact. Ooh, okay. I like this a lot. Probably as a artifact sideboard more than anything else. But you know, the 2/2 body for 2 is nice, and the enlist makes it probably trade up. So this looks reasonable as like an artifact hate. All right, let's take a look at green. Barkweave Crusher, 4 mana, 2/5 enlist. Okay, this is fine. It's probably chump blocked too often. As this creature attacks, yeah, you also have to declare your enlist before they block, so it's probably pretty medium. The 2/5, this is probably makes it, the big toughness makes it good, but I mean it's probably medium. Bite Down deals damage. Okay, so this is a functional reprint. You bite something. Green removal. Bog Badger, 3 mana, 3/3, kicker, enters the battlefield, gains menace. So this card looks pretty good. You know, green already makes a bunch of bodies on the field in constructed. You know, you have your Serral's Packmates, you have your Trumpeting Herds, you have your Llanowar Visionary, and giving them all menace just like makes them get in for damage. So I think you can probably fit like 1 or 2 of these in a deck. Broken Wings, yeah, this is a reprint. Colossal Growth, 2 mana, kicker red, 3/3, +4/+4 gains trample and haste. Okay, so 4 mana +4, or sorry, 3 mana +4/+4 trample haste. That's reasonable. That's pretty good. I don't know if there's any deck that wants this kind of effect though, but this is definitely the best effect of this kind. Best card of this effect. It's hard pronouncing stuff. Best card of this effect in Historic Pauper so far, I think. Deathbloom Gardener, 3 mana, 1/1 Death Touch. You can add mana. Yeah, this is pretty mediocre. 3 mana ramp is usually not great in constructed. Elfhane Worm, 5 mana, 5/4 Vigilance Trample. Yeah, I don't think this is good enough. You know, Owlbear is already 5 mana, 4/4 draw a card. That's much better than the extra power and vigilance. Floriferous Vinewall. 2 mana, 0/2 defender. ETBs, look at the top 6 cards. You may reveal a land card from among them. Interesting. This is a relatively new effect, but I think there's a jumpstart card, Sylvan Ranger, I think. It's 2 mana, 1/1 ETBs, find a land card. So this has the potential to miss, whereas Sylvan Ranger is only find a basic. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a landfall deck. Well, there is, but I don't think it's good enough. So also the body 0/2 defender, that seems a bit weak. Um, because this effect is weaker than the Sylvan Ranger, I don't think this card is good. Maybe if it was a 2 mana 2/2. Maybe, yeah. Gaia's Might. Okay, so it's a Domain Giant Growth. Domain is just so unreliable. I don't think this card is good, especially on like a 1 mana combat trick too. Yeah, I don't think this card is good. Hexbane Tortoise, 3 mana, 3/2, Ward 2, Enlist. Okay, interesting. Yeah, so this Ward 2 is pretty good. 3 mana, 3/2, Enlist. I don't think that's quite good enough because it's too easily blocked by a 2 power creature. Yeah, Enlist only increases the attack, right? Yeah, add its power to this creature. It's not like banding, I think, where it also adds toughness. So, yeah, it could see play, but I don't think so. You know, I could see it in the enchantment deck. You know, if you buff this up, it could maybe see play. Llanowar Stalker, 1 mana, 1/1. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, gets +1/+0. Okay, so this is like that red goblin. I forget. Was it Foundry Street Denizen? I think that's what it's called. I think this is pretty good actually. This goes straight into the green aggro deck. The problem with that is that the green aggro deck is pretty medium. But I do like this because it's a 1-drop that can attack for maybe 2, maybe even 3 on turn 2. So yeah, I do like this card. Managoth Sentry, 4 mana, 4/4 reach. Yeah, I think this is pretty mediocre. This is probably a draft card. Scout the Wilderness, 3 mana, sorcery, kicker, create 2. Okay. Yeah, so this is a 3 mana ramp is pretty medium. And then when you get up to 5 mana and then you want to ramp even more, that's not quite good enough. I do like the 2/1/1s. I don't think this is good. I don't think this is good. Snare Spinner, 2 mana, 1/3 reach. Okay, so I think this is a downshift, or a functional downshift. Yeah, it's fine. I'll probably play this over the Bamboo Grove Archers, actually. Because the channel on the Bamboo Grove Archers rarely makes a difference, whereas being able to attack on your creature probably makes more of a difference. 2 mana, 3/3 reach, and when you block flying, this is probably a sideboard card for green. Sunbathing Root Walla, 2 mana, 2/2, domain 4, gets +1/+1, activate only once each turn. Okay, this is pretty mediocre. This is more of a draft card than a constructed card, I think. Like basically the fact that domain costs 4 just makes it too expensive for constructed, but this looks reasonable in draft. Take a look here, mostly uncommons. Vineshaper Prodigy. 2 mana, 2/2, kicker. Enters the battlefield. Look at the top 3 cards. Put one of them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom. Okay, so this is like a striped bear for 4. Yeah, yeah. I don't think the 2-mana 2/2 mode is gonna see much play to make it better than Several's Packmate, especially since Packmate has Foretell, right? So I think this is just a worse Packmate, and then you also have to fight you also have to beat out Trumpeting Herd for a 4-drop in green. I don't think this is that great. Yavimaya Sojourner, 8 mana, domain, 4/6, vanilla. Yeah, this is probably the worst card of this cycle. It's just so mediocre. The 4/6 body, it doesn't even have trample. It's not even like a 6/6 trample. Yeah, this is pretty mediocre. I would have liked to see this be like 7, or well, keep the cost the same, domain, 6/6 trample. I think that would have been much better. This card is basically useless. Alright. I don't think there are any multicolored commons, but we shall... There's a couple uncommons here for Historic Pauper Brawl, if people are into that. Let's take a look here. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's any commons. Alright, so let's take a look at the colorless cards. Automatic Librarian, 3 mana, 3/2, ETB Scry 2. Okay, this is reasonable. You know, Scry 2 is almost like a draw 1, so it's decent. Let's take a look. Meteorite. Okay, so this is a reprint. 5 mana is too much for Mana Rock, even though it does 2 damage. Salvaged Mana Worker. Add 1 mana of any color for 1. 2 mana, 1/3. Activate only once each turn. Okay, I don't think there are any like 4-color, 5-color decks at the moment other than Skyfisher, and Skyfisher is already really all set on their mana fixing, so I don't think this has a home. It looks reasonable. This is the cheapest for this kind of effect for the mana filtering. Shield Wall Sentinel, 4 mana, 1/3 defender. Search your library for a creature card with defender. Ooh, interesting. This card is good. I don't think it has a home quite yet, though. Yeah, maybe there's going to be more defender love in common. I know Historic already has defenders in Artisan. Vanquisher's Axe, 1 mana. Bone. Alright, so this is a worse Bone Splitter. Yeah. So Historic Pauper does have Bone Splitter. This is probably just for standard. And then I think that's everything. Oh no, we also have the lands. Okay, so these lands have the basic land type, so that's good for what is it? Mystic Sanctuary, the blue Eldraine land. Other than that, I don't think any of the other land types matter too much. I mean, of course, Swamp and Mountain are both good. Those Eldraine lands are also decent. But this is mostly going to buff, what is it? Mystic Sanctuary. Crystal Grotto. Oh, okay, so this is the filter lands, but it's untapped. Yeah, this is a good buff. I like it. I don't think there's any 4-color, 5-color deck that really needs this at the moment, but this is a good buff. And I think those were the only 2 lands. Of course, you have the cycle. And yeah, that's all. So yeah, thank you for listening to my meta review, meta predictions, I guess, for Dominaria. And I hope you guys are having fun playing Historic Pauper.